Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome once again to the eastern wing of the Stink Bug Works. We've been inventing stuff and, to a lesser degree, making things. While I'm waiting for the haul to arrive for this motor, I think they're actually having to make one of the two hulls. They might have only had one in stock. I thought I'd tinker around a little bit with this. This is the H&M Mozilla 400. And as you can see by the size of my hand, and I don't have really big hands, it's small. In fact, I'll take this scale. Some call it a ruler, but it's actually a scale. And it's 13 and a half inches, give or take. It's tiny. So all I've done to this thing thus far is opened up the flood chamber hole and put some air vents in there. So hopefully this thing will be self-righting. I'm toying around with power systems. And at one time, I actually thought I would run this Aviox, what is it? It's a 1005 2Y. The KV is 4,900 RPM per volt. So it's up there, and this thing's perfectly happy with a small prop. But I'm thinking that might just be way too much power for this little haul. And you start throwing a big motor in there and it starts adding weight, and you add weight, and then you got to compensate with bigger batteries. It adds more weight, and yada, 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 and you start chasing that. So I think I'm going to go with this. This is a Hacker, an old Hacker B50 or B20 12L. It has a KV pretty close to this. So it's going to turn a small propeller, and we're going to get to that in a bit. But I think it's a much more appropriate size motor for a hull like this, and it's going to be considerably lighter. And remember, a light boat is a happy boat. So normally you would mount a stinger of some sort. Actually, the plan for this from H&M was to use this a direct drive, and it would actually work real well in this boat. But I'm going to try something a little different. Actually, they were doing a direct drive with an offset rudder, and I'm going to do an inline rudder, and I'll tell you why. This thing's kind of a lot for fun running. It's not going to be only for racing. So I may want to try to turn left from time to time. And if your rudder's offset in a left turn, it's coming out of the water and it's not nearly as effective as it is in a right turn. But in the center, you always have the same amount of rudder in the water either way. So I'm going to run a centerline rudder, and I'm going to try this particular little inline rudder. Now, these things haven't become popular, and I'll show you why. This is a 30 millimeter diameter propeller. This strut is all the way down, and you can see a 30 millimeter propeller doesn't have a whole lot of room under here. 32 millimeters might be pushing the limit. But in order to get it to work on this hull, I don't know if I really want it down that low, because it pushes the top, the top part of this really high on the transom, because remember now, your strut's going to exit right here at the bottom of the hull or thereabouts. So that moves it up real high, which means, here's the one that's actually going to go on there. I have a couple of these, which means you're going to have to suck the strut up quite a bit. And in fact, I've actually modified the slot on this strut to get it so I can suck it up even higher. That's going to limit my prop size, but this is going to be a bigger limitation on prop size. I'm going to have to run 27 millimeter props, and this will be perfectly happy with a 27. So this will be the hardware. Now, H&M did this to me on the Redbird as well. They put this sloping transom, so if you're going to mount a rudder or anything with a bracket, you got to compensate for it. So I made a Delrin block that matches the angle, and then I took some G10 and I threaded holes in there, appropriately spaced. So how this will mount is eventually I will drill 2 holes for these screws, assemble it all together with this G10 on the inside, and then once it's all assembled, then I'll take some epoxy and shredded fiberglass mix. Or I should be like Big B, since this has got carbon Kevlar, maybe I should shred up some carbon. Maybe I'll do that. Just as a hat tip to Big B. But anyway, I'll take epoxy and shredded composite material and glue that hunk of G10 into the transom, and bingo, I got a nut plate and nothing more than 2 small holes through there. So that's my thinking on that. Now, this motor mount is from TFL. It is for their mini Scored. Now, the mini Scored is the mini Dominator that Bill Oxidine sells. TFL sells it in Asia as the Scored. Bill sells it over here as the Dominator. But these are readily available. Now, here's one of several interesting things I'm going to show you about this. This just happens to fit this hull perfectly, but does not fit the spacing of these motor bolts. So I'm just going to use it as a template to make one, and I'll drill the motor mounting holes appropriately. So this will be pretty simple. I'm just going to run a stuffing tube sticking out about 6-8 millimeters, and the strut will plug into it, and away you go. This strut is interesting. It actually has a water pickup on the underside of the strut. It has a brass bushing similar to a Speedmaster, but it's permanent in there. And for this portion right through here where this pickup is, the diameter is larger than the outside diameter of this bushing. So it actually picks up, goes around the bushing. You have a water-cooled bushing. Nah, around the bushing and then out this little nipple here. Now that is somewhat of a challenge to get between these bits, but it can be done. I've done it. So that's why this mount isn't popular. It's kind of a pain in the ass to set up. It's a pain in the ass to build. It's kind of limiting in prop sizes and such. But you know what? It's perfect for this little guy. It's absolutely perfect. So we'll have something cute. And running a German motor in a German boat. If I had a Schulze speed control. Ooh, I wonder if Jetty still makes speed controls. I know Schulze's out of business. Anyway, so that's that project. And kind of on the same burner as this, since they're similar in size, and I kind of ran across them at the same time, was the deadhead. What one was this one called? Was this the... I forget the name of it right off the top of my head. But this one, I'm going to put just a real easy to build running gear in it. It's going to get, just a generic outrunner on, this is an H&M driveline. And in fact, was kind of my thinking behind the jet stepper, but get a load of this. Here this comes in again. Why, this fits this, and it fits this. There's pre-made motor mount for this thing right there. The TFL scored. You might have to do a little sanding on this, but that's pretty good right there. So, and then with just a direct drive, I'm going to have to hang my rudder way off the back. And because I've got a sloping transom, I'm once again going to have to make a standoff block of some sort. So I haven't really decided on a rudder, but I'm going to put something back here, hang it out. You can get rudders with real long arms, so I'll see what I have in the hardware box, and I'll report back to you next time when we're looking at that. So I just thought I'd fill you in on what's going to occupy the eastern wing while the Hydro Hull is shipped from Germany. Until next time, boys and girls, jet out.